Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'd like to bring to you my good friend Callie the poet.
So, hello and thank you for inviting me. This is definitely an honor and congrats, Ray, on the website. That's a big honor, and I'm happy to be here with the launch of it. So my name is Kali the poet. I am right now. I'm living in Atlantic County, but I was born and raised in North Jersey, in Newark and Irvington, New Jersey. So I'm a North Jersey baby at heart. Um, my first poem, I'm actually going to read. It's about my relationship with my mother, and it's funny that Treasure, the poet right before me, she kind of spoke on her mom and her relationship with her mom, and um, how she was able to kind of mend that bridge with her and how her mom was able to kind of be involved in the therapy and kind of building that relationship back up so that it could come out kind of new and in a new form, in an adult form. Mine is kind of a contrast. I'm not sure what age her mom group falls in, but my mom is kind of older, so that whole therapy thing and all of that doesn't really work. So my relationship with her is kind of contrast, and this one is a poem about that, and it's called Breathe. I've learned that you don't gain God without a great sacrifice. Salvation is like bartering for the broken pieces of yourself with the broken pieces of your heart while drowning in Dante's Inferno because fire burns to ashes, but it purifies too. You have to hit rock bottom to harvest the most precious gems. That's why it's called rock bottom. It takes the pressure of the world to make a tiny diamond shine. And even then, only when you apply the right light. God don't give a damn about easy. I lost my sobriety before I was out of the womb, spent 9 months swimming in the primordial waters of a cocaine tomb. The thing about using babies as band aids for old wounds is that the pain always seeps through, and soiled gauze is no good to nobody. She told me she tried to sniff an eighth of coke because she was mad at the man that planted me inside her, and her binge ended because she could no longer feel me moving inside her. That's the type of shit that sticks with you. My mother laughs about that now, but I think it's too soon. I think she's confused. I think having a child required a love she wasn't used to, unconditional. So now having a child requires a love I'm not used to. So my future is conditional. I'm fucked up. She just thinks I'm nuts. I guess we'll always have a difference of opinion. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I'm breathing. I've also learned that the devil doesn't come in a blue dress or blood red bottom heels. His nickname isn't Lucifer, it's love. And he shows up strutting gray thoughts, stress, regrets, and short breaths. And although he's always a snake, he isn't always covered in scaly skin. Sometimes he slithers under labels like family, like the nastiest freaks get fashioned at home. Like I'm still waiting for my father to scare off the monsters in my closet and avenge me for all the men that took advantage of his vacancy by default. Patience is a virtue, but it's a burden when you learned it, waiting for a man that conceived you but doesn't need you. I wasn't looking for perfection, I was searching for his presence to fix broken promises and fill empty table settings. A father is defined by how much of himself he is willing to share. I wasn't looking for perfection. I was looking for my daddy to save me back before it was too late to actually save me, but I've been calling other men daddy lately. And nothing's more of a turn on than a man who's turned on by a woman who exhibits clear paternal issues. Or you can catch me falling face deep in the soft surrender of another tortured soul with her own secrets. The deeper a woman's pain, the wetter her diamond mind. They're the ones that call me daddy. I don't remember which side my heart is on because I can't feel it beat anymore. I once had a woman promise. She would wait for me forever, and I promised myself I would call her bluff. I should call her soon. I once watched a man I loved lie to his mother and still wasn't prepared when he lied to me. Life has a funny way of replaying the same plot. I beg you pardon my inability to feel, but I've been busy fighting since the day my DNA chain was engraved. I'm not supposed to be here, but I am. And I'm still breathing, so I'm guessing that God is pleased with me. Thank you.
Okay. So the consensus from Facebook is that a few of us may have to retire after that. So that is so dope. You know, here's my pen. I'm fitting to break it in half.
Knock it off.
Um, wow, wow. Uh, I tell you what, my goal is to find something I could be that naked about.
Hmm.
How did you? I'm not even like the poem is dope. Like I wrote down all these lines. You talked about sacrifice. You said soil gauze is of no use to no one. Um, my mother laughs about it, but it's too soon. I don't even want to get into the poetry, the creativity part of it, which is fire. Uh, at what point did you sit down with yourself? Now, and again, I don't know what your process is, but before I can write something in which I am displaying my nakedness to the world, there might be I might have a meeting with four of me. There might actually be four of me sitting in the room, uh, yelling at each other. What was your process to come to the realization that this was going to be a thing?
So first let me say that most of what I write is a process of healing for me. So anytime that I write something, especially something that I hold dear, and there's a few poems that are specifically about my healing process, they take a while. And that poem took a year of evolution. And I would just write how I felt, even if it didn't make sense, and then I would let it sit, and then I would come back to it, and I would try to make it poetry. So when I talk about the first situation where I found out that I was kind of in a way like a drug baby. Well, I was a drug baby. It was a conversation that we had during a concert that I had taken her to for her birthday, and she got a little tipsy and decided to tell me at that point. And then it was kind of like dropped in my lap, and it was a matter of me having to process it. And I came to a point in my life where I was realizing that all of these things, and like I said earlier, my parents are from a generation where therapy is non-existent, especially for Black people. You
Right.
know, so I came to a point in my life where I realized either I had to do something to be different, or I was going to continue this long line. And I'm sure she was treated the same way as she treated me, and that's how we a lot of parents learn how to do things when they don't want to change. And I decided that I had to be different because I was suffering in so many different ways. So it's really been, and I'm still in the middle of the process, but it's really been just a matter of me picking apart every piece of myself and trying to make it as beautiful as I can through poetry. And that's what I came up with for that piece. And it helped heal me from that point that I can talk about it without crying. Like they say, when you're healed a part of yourself when you can talk about it without crying. And this is my process. So I take my writing very seriously for that reason. And I'm definitely grateful that people appreciate it.
I, normally I say when I put the word out that I'm doing something, whoever gets it, and whoever's supposed to get it gets it. But I really wish, in fact, I know uh, more people than who is watching now and probably will watch it should check it out because the words that you shared today um, could definitely help somebody. At the very least, put them on the right track. Uh, Again, thank you. The one thing I love, but like I told Treasure, I love this venue, this platform, because it's a half hour. I hate it because we get into things that I really would like to unpack, but you can't unpack them and deal with them in a half hour setting. And so,